We got back from CES 2011 just 2 days ago, where the Samsung D8000 TV was on show. And we got to have a look at that and shoot a quick video. But this is a world exclusive, in-depth first look video review of that model. Now, of course, we'll be putting it through its full lab tests, but I'm going to ask Mike what he thinks of it, our TV expert. So, Mike, first, what are the key specifications?
Well, like you say, at CES, we only really scratched the surface of this TV. On paper, it sounds very, very impressive. It's a LED TV, it's 3D, and it comes in a number of screen sizes, 40, 46, 55, and a huge 60-inch, which should be out later in the summer. This should be on market in about March time. It's 3D, of course. A lot of Samsung's models are 3D this year, far more than last year. And it comes with twin tuners, a Freeview HD and FreeSat HD tuner, plus PVR functionality.
So with the PVR, is that through USB functionality?
Yeah, if you stick a USB stick in there, you can record some programs.
So if it's got a FreeSat and a Freeview tuner and can record to PVR through USB, I guess that means you can watch a FreeSat channel while recording Freeview.
Doesn't quite work like that. This is something we found on Panasonic last year. They're basically bundled into one platform, so you can only record what you're watching on screen. But still, it's a simple PVR device.
Okay, so you talk about the specifications, and they're important, but the most important thing, of course, is picture quality.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why we rated the C8000, last year's equivalent model, so highly.
So any changes made to the picture processing on the D8000?
Well, we're gonna save our full opinion for the picture till we've got this in the lab and we've done our full comparative test. But what we really liked about the C8000 last year is with the contrast and the deep blacks. Now, Samsung say they've tweaked that for this year. They've tweaked the noise reduction. Again, that was something that really impressed us last year. The lack of picture noise was simply astounding. We've also got something called a micro dimming, which should help with the contrast levels. And they've also claimed to improve the motion of the TV, the motion control, with something they're labelling 800 Hertz.
What does that mean? I've seen 600 Hertz, 200, 100 Hertz.
Well, it depends on who you ask. It means something different for different manufacturers, so it's not directly comparable to something like 600 or 100 or 200. There'll be more of that when we come to our full lab test. But it does sound like they have made some motion processing tweaks.
So rather than take that as a ballpark about how good the picture quality is, you should just check our lab reviews.
Absolutely, absolutely. Always take those labels with a pinch of salt.
Okay, well there are some obvious design changes that have been made to the TVs too.
Yeah, I mean the first thing you'll notice is the bezel. Now that's gone from, that's the frame around the edge of the picture. Now that's gone from 28mm from last year's model to just 5mm this year. And it's impossible not to be impressed. It looks absolutely great. We saw it at CES, and it's the first thing that everyone started talking about, the great look of the new Samsung TVs.
Yeah, and you can almost fit a 55-inch model into where you could fit last year's 46-inch TV. I was measuring them earlier. The 46 was about 50 inches from corner to corner, and the 55 was about 56 inches from corner to corner.
Yeah, it's a great space-saving exercise. And something that Samsung were telling us today, that it's not just about that sort of aesthetic appeal. In terms of 3D, they reckon it's going to improve the experience there. Now, this is something that we noticed before in our test. That border around the edge of the TV, you are very, very conscious of it. You look over that border, you lose the 3D effect. With less of a border, that may just improve the 3D effect.
And it has the same easily identifiable Samsung stand and very thin panel.
Yeah, panel is as thin as usual. I mean, you can get blasé about these things, but it's still rather remarkable how slim they get these TVs. Don't know what effect that's going to have on sound quality. It's something that we always point out. When the 7000 series a couple of years ago was really, really slim, and we didn't rate that at all for sound quality. 8000, they'd actually improved. Still wasn't fantastic, but as we found with most LED panels, sound is a little bit so-so. So you might be looking for a separate hi-fi or surround sound system. But again, we will find out more in our full lab tests.
And you mentioned that the bezel being smaller might improve the 3D picture viewing experience, but it's not just the TV that's been redesigned with 3D in mind.
No. Well, the glasses. Now, we've been highly critical of active shutter 3D glasses in the past year. We feel they're a little bit of a barrier to the uptake of 3D, that and the lack of content and some of the expense. But the glasses especially, they've been uncomfortable, they've been heavy. Samsung actually made some of the best active shutter glasses, but even they didn't exactly lend themselves to a pleasant 3D experience. That seems to all be about to change. They've produced these new, super lightweight, flexible, very comfortable to wear 3D glasses. They put all the electronics around the back here, gives it a nice sort of lightweight, even weighted feel. They've changed it to Bluetooth as well. Last year's glasses were infrared, this year's a Bluetooth, which they reckon is going to be lead to a better, more robust signal from the TV.
So does that mean that anyone who bought Samsung's 3D TV from last year won't be able to use these new glasses?
That's spot on, Ben. Unfortunately so, because they're on different systems. If you've got last year's TV, you can't get these new glasses. Now, this isn't the only pair that are doing the rounds. There's an even more stylish pair that we saw at CES, which check our CES videos for those. They've also got little things like that you can charge this wirelessly. Now you can plug it into the TV via USB and charge it that way, or you can buy an optional extra little charging stand which will charge wirelessly along with another 3 pairs of glasses and the remote control on a little hub.
Are there any other 3D features we need to know about?
Yeah, well, they've given their 2D to 3D software a bit of a tweak, probably with an eye on the market and the lack of 3D Blu-ray titles, although there should be about 60 coming this year, we expect. They've also added something called 3D sound, which is mapping the audio to the 3D picture to give it the right tone and depth. Most interestingly, though, is the 3D auto switching. Now, what we found last year is when you went to 3D mode, you could be pressing countless number of buttons to get it through on the menu system. Some of the worst were over 20, over 30 even the best were 2 or 3 steps. On this, it detects the 3D signal and automatically switches it to the right 3D picture format.
Okay, now 3D is big, but something they were really shouting about, all the manufacturers, at CES this year, was internet-enabled TVs. Mm-hmm. Now, I know we had a quick roundup of the features available from the key manufacturers last year, but what's changing this year with Samsung's models?
Well, like you say, this is one of the most impressive things at this year's CES, and I think Samsung might be at the fore of this one. First impressions, Samsung's new smart TV hub does look very, very impressive. Basically, what they've done is bundled in full web browsing, an extensive app store, a video library which makes recommendations on movies you might want to watch based on your search, and access to all your home network files all in one interface. Probably the best thing about it from again first impressions is that search option though. You can enter free text search and it will bring you up results from different parts of your system, be it YouTube, the web, BBC iPlayer, some movies. It really is quite impressive.
Now I see that Samsung's app store for TV is growing, but I noticed that you can also create your own folders, so I could put all my sports one in my own folder, or you could organise the cartoons for your daughter or something like that.
Yeah, that really is quite impressive. You can actually create your own folders, name them whatever you want, and even colour code them, so it is quite a neat way to organise all your information on screen. And other features as well, whilst you're on the web browser, on the internet, you can actually have a picture-in-picture of the TV. You can adjust the volume between each two, or switch the audio between each two, and move that picture-in-picture around the screen. Really quite a friendly user interface. And one of the great extras of 2011 is they've actually built in wireless this year. Now, previously you had to buy a separate Wi-Fi dongle to do that. This year it's built in, and you can actually pair devices to your TV and use that as a bit of a wireless hub in the front room.
So that full web browsing, that's something that's new to these models, but some TVs we've seen with web browsing, and one of the issues that we come up against in the lab was the entering free text. Have Samsung addressed this?
Well, yeah, it has been a problem on TVs, and it's not surprising really, because they are TVs, they come with regular remotes, and it's quite hard to get text on the screen. Now, one of the best ways we've seen of doing that is through a keyboard that you actually just plug into the TV. Samsung haven't got this option, but what they have got is this rather innovative touchscreen remote. Now, I say innovative, That's because it is rather, it's touchscreen. You can do absolutely anything with this remote. You come up to a search screen and it will automatically produce a QWERTY keyboard, which is a really nice feature. The swipe controls on there for adjusting volume and sound, volume and channels. It does just about everything, but by Samsung's own admission, this is really aimed at gadget fans. This is aimed at the type of person who owns a smartphone already and is familiar with this sort of technology. It does require a lot of learning, and it does require its own instruction manual, which is not going to appeal to a lot of people. Now, we've seen something similar last year with the 9000 series with that touchscreen remote, and our ergonomics experts really weren't impressed by it. They found it very difficult to use. If you've got the patience, on the other hand, and you're willing to learn this remote, we're sure it could work well. We'll wait for the lab verdict on that one.
So does the model come with a regular remote as well?
That's still not decided. We've asked Samsung about that. The 7000 series will come with more of the standard type remote, which does have an internet search button, the smart hub button, and a small sort of tracking cursor control to make it easier to navigate web pages. We're not sure whether that's going to be an optional extra on this, or whether it's going to come as standard, or whether maybe the Pebble remote control, the very small simple remote control, would come with this as well. We'll just have to wait and see. This remote you can get as an optional extra on the 7000 series, or you can download free apps for your smartphones.
I was going to say, it does look like a Samsung Galaxy smartphone.
Well, yeah, you can download it for the Samsung Galaxy phone or the Galaxy Tab. You can even get it on the iPhone as well. We've got the iPhone here where we've downloaded the Samsung Remote TV remote control.
So that's available on Android and on Apple's iTunes.
They're both free, so maybe it's something you can try out in the shops yourself.
We'll have to get our lab ergonomics guys on.
Whatever remote control combination it comes in, we will be testing them all.
So all that will feed into our overall ease of use score, but have any other ease of use tweaks been made?
Yes, seemingly Samsung haven't left a stone unturned this year. In addition to all the other changes to 3D and Smart TV, they've also made quite a few ergonomics changes. On their regular sort of picture and sound menu systems, they now have some nice little summaries describing what each setting is. They also have an on-screen e-manual, something we've seen on other manufacturers before. Now, it still comes with a quick start guide, a paper guide, to let you know that the e-manual's there and how to get onto it. But this, it's not fully searchable, but it is an index manual, and it did look quite user-friendly. Plus, they've even changed the buttons on the TV. Now, previously it's been quite tricky to sort of make out what buttons were on Samsung TVs. Aesthetic has always come above functionality and above ergonomic friendliness. This time, they've changed the buttons to put this on the side of the TV. They made the contrast of the labelling clearly stand out from the TV itself. And they've also included this nice little display that pops up on the screen itself to let you know what the buttons are without actually having to look at them. So you can see it on the screen that this is clearly menu, this is sound, this is channel up and down.
Well, it seems that on paper, Samsung have made a number of changes that are going to improve this model over last year's.
Yeah, on first impressions, it sounds very impressive. But of course, truth will be told in our full lab test, and we'll have this in our lab as soon as it's released onto the market, which should be about March time.
Now you can find out more about the other models in Samsung's 2011 range on our website, and we'll be taking in-depth first looks at models from other key manufacturers in the next few weeks as they prepare for the spring 2011 launch. All that information and more can be found at which.co.uk/TV.